the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we have a strong panel of experts joining us to help us understand this market better. Ravi Ahuja, Executive Director at Cushman & Wakefield, and Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us on the show this week. Now, last week we saw the Telangana bill finally being passed in both houses of Parliament. Telangana is now India's 29th state. What does this mean for the Hyderabad realty sector? Now, we know Hyderabad's realty was suffering for about 4 years because of this very problem. We'll take a look at what the new legislation means for all of the big cities within the two states, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
The bill is passed.
Telangana is now a reality. Parliament last week passed a historic bill paving the way to carve out Telangana from Andhra Pradesh. Hyderabad will be the common capital of Telangana and the residual state of Simandra for the next 10 years. Vizag and Vijayawada could be the capital of Simandra in the future. Sweetening the deal for the Simandra region, the Prime Minister has announced a mega financial package. The region is expected to get easy access to infrastructure funds and tax breaks for industry. This in turn could bring new real estate opportunities and improve consumer sentiment. The news should come as a silver lining for the Hyderabad property market that's been subdued for the last 2 years. The IT hub of Gachibowli has seen a meagre 10% rise in home prices over the last 2 years. Miapur, a major residential suburb, has seen a rise of only 20% in 2 years. Homes in the commercial suburb of Kukatpalli have risen 27% on an average over the last 2 years. On the other hand, specific pockets of Visakhapatnam have very mixed results. Gajuwaka, an important transit point, has seen a decline of 4% of home prices over the last 2 years. Home prices in Madurwada, an important suburb, have gone up 46%, whereas the suburb of Kurmanapallam have declined 10% and are currently priced at 2,125 rupees a square foot. All right, so those are the two new states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Now, you've been on the show. We've talked in the past about the fact that Hyderabad was waiting for this decision. Now that we have this decision, what does it mean for the city?
You know, the passing of the Andhra Pradesh restructuring bill is really putting all the uncertainty behind us now. As we've discussed in the past on your shows, I think the business community, be it the corporates or even the investor community, were very much waiting for this event. Now that it's behind us, I think Hyderabad is most certainly back on the map, both for corporates as well as the investor community.
So do you expect the money to start moving in terms of investments from corporates right now? Or like it's happening in the rest of the country, they're just going to wait and watch to see what happens in the centre in May?
So I think you're right. The union elections as well as the state elections are just a few months away in Hyderabad. So in that sense, there is still political volatility as a market like Hyderabad may face. But I think in the next 6 months, I don't see any really upsurge till we have the political results out in terms of elections. Having said that, I think it's time to sniff around, time to try and get better deals. It may be just a little bit too early before the election results to start pouring in money, but from the medium term, it looks pretty promising.
All right, Jayashree, I want to bring you in here. Of course, we have to talk about Hyderabad, but there's also Vijayawada, there's also Vizag, there's Secunderabad to talk about, there's the Kurnool area, all of which will now be impacted by this decision to have two separate states. When you're looking at the website right now, of all of these options, for someone looking to make an investment, is Hyderabad still the best pick?
Say, after the Telangana bill, there are two things that are happening. Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Warangal and Khammam will be part of the Telangana region, and here the corporate investments, the possibility of corporate investments are very, very high. So it's not only Hyderabad city that you're looking at, these are the other areas where you will see some amount of development in the long term. On the other hand, in the Simandra region, you are going to see Visakhapatnam, Vijayawada, Kurnool. These are the areas where a lot of development has to happen. So what's going to happen is it's not only Hyderabad city that is going to witness a change. You are already seeing Visakhapatnam as an active real estate market, and we see that Visakhapatnam can grow, has the potential to grow into a big city.
So let's first talk about Hyderabad. Now, within Hyderabad, Jayashree, what areas do you expect to see the most growth in? Are we sticking to the areas around the IT centre, the Madhapur, the Gachibowli? Is that where you see the most growth coming in?
In the short term, yes, Faye, because actually Hyderabad has made its mark as an IT city. You know, strangely, Hyderabad's corporate investment did not really vanish because there was this Telangana issue happening. The residential market slowed down, but I don't see jobs having gone away from Hyderabad.
Well, Ravi, what are you seeing from your end of commercial space within Hyderabad? Because commercial space tends to be an indicator of how residential will move. Are you getting inquiries about commercial space in Hyderabad? Do you expect to get more towards the end of the year?
I think commercial space has done pretty okay in Hyderabad. I think Hyderabad has, to its credit, the workforce capital in terms of talent pool availability for clearly. So that's a preferred destination for corporates because of that single factor. To my view, given the political stability and in the future, once the elections are behind us, I think it's only going to be an upside. I would assume that Hyderabad could fetch anywhere between 10 to 15% per annum year-on-year growth in pricing. Today, one of the biggest advantages of Hyderabad when you compare it with other tier 1 and 2 cities is the pricing of residential, properties in Hyderabad, which are still very reasonable. And I think that's a big ace up Hyderabad sleeves for pouring in renewed interest from investor community.
All right, so Hyderabad is the bet. Same question to the both of you. I have 50 lakh rupees. I'm looking to make a quick investment, turnaround time of 3 or 4 years. Where would you like me to focus my money first, Ravi? In the Andhra, Telangana, Hyderabad region, what's the best bet right now?
No, I would go to the same IT corridor, Gachibowli, and towards Madhapur may be a little expensive. But you can still get good quality between the belt of Madhapur and Gachibowli. I think that would be a preferred location.
Jayashree, 50 lakh rupees in Hyderabad. What can I buy right now? What would you like me to invest my money in?
I would again go for the Gachibowli, the IT corridor. But I think, Faye, the beauty of Hyderabad today is that with with a budget of 50 lakhs, you may be able to get really good apartments, or in some places you may even be able to manage a villa in that much area if you go a little further away.
In the IT corridors, if you're looking to make that investment, here are some projects that you might find interesting in both the Andhra and the Telangana region. Take a look. If you're in the market to buy a home in Telangana or Simandra, here are some options for you. PBEL City from PBEL, Brigade at number 7 by the Brigade Group, Sarovar Grande by Aparna Constructions, Florence Village from Novus Infra, Greens from Lansum Properties, and finally Nest from Sirdar Projects. Right, we have some questions. Now, Chenna Rao has written in, he wants to buy a plot of land in Hyderabad, budget of 10 to 20 lakh rupees, investment horizon of 5 to 10 years. Please give me some options. Jayashree, what would you like him to do? 20 lakh rupees, Hyderabad, is that still possible?
As usual, I went through the website and said what kind of options can I offer him, and I found that he can get something in the western suburbs. He can get something in Mokila. He could also look at Gachibowli. There are areas where you could be able to get 14-15 lakh. You can get a plot of land. In the west and south, you can get Adibatla and Sanikpuri. Here too, you are able to get. You may, Hyderabad currently is low priced, so this is a good time to buy the plots, and I see options on the site.
All right, there are options there for you. Let's take another question. Hari Babu, who's written in, he wants to buy an apartment and a land plot in Chennai with a budget of 30 to 70 lakh rupees. He's narrowed down his choices to India Bulls Green in Perumbakam. He wants to know if that's a good option. Ravi, for someone who's looking to buy an apartment in Chennai, 30 to 70 lakh rupees, where would you like him to focus his energy?
I would want him to consider locations like Sholinganur, which is a pretty remote but I think very fast growing corridor for Chennai in the OMR. Or for about 3 BHK he can get that 70 lakh budget. Or if he wants to come closer to the city, maybe towards Perengudi, which is just at the beginning 3-4 kilometers from Taramani, at the cusp of the OMR. I think these locations probably would give him better returns than the India Bulls location which he may have identified. For the plot of land for which he has a budget of 30 lakhs, I would assume maybe one ground of property in terms of a plot may be available in some of the remote areas. We've identified areas such as Kilambakam and Mahabalipuram in that belt. Probably he could have a good pick.
Welcome back. You're watching Property Guide in ET now. Both of our guests are still with us, helping us make smart property decisions. But we've talked about Bangalore several times on this show, and we received so many questions from you asking us about Electronic City and Marthahalli. To answer all of your questions, we're going to focus on these two markets this week and find out what sort of price movement is expected and how you can profit from it. Let's take a look at the prices in both of these areas, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Electronic City, Bangalore's first and one of its largest IT hubs, is spread across 32 acres. The area houses some of the country's leading IT companies, with Infosys and Wipro setting up their campuses here 20 years ago. Electronic City has crippled by bad connectivity and infrastructure for several years now. But now the 10-laned elevated Hosur Road has reduced travel time considerably between the Electronic City and Silk Board. Homes in the Electronic City are currently priced at an average of 3,375 rupees per square foot, a whopping 53% increase in just 2 years. Until the 1990s, Marthahalli was a sleepy suburb on the city's outskirts. The location boasts of excellent connectivity via the ring road. Close proximity to Sarjapur Road and Whitefield has worked in the location's favour. With the IT boom, the area has transformed completely and today boasts of malls, multiplexes and restaurants. Home prices in this locality have witnessed a steady up move over the last 2 years. Homes here are currently priced at an average of 3,900 rupees per square foot, an increase of 16% in just 2 years.
All right, so that's Electronic City. Jesh, I'm going to come to you first. Now, both Marthahalli and Electronic City had a lot of problems because of infrastructure that was really crippling growth in those two areas. But now that infrastructure has started to ease off, that flyover is now operational. Do you see a lot of movement on the website in Electronic City? Now, are people preferring to live there?
Electronic City is the scores on lower pricing and affordability. Electronic City is roughly about 3,000 to 4,000 rupees per square foot. If you look at Marthahalli, it's about 3,500 to 4,500 per square foot, and Whitefield is still more expensive, 4,500 to 5,500 per square foot. So clearly there is a spectrum there, and first it was the Whitefield area which was taking off. Today, because of affordability, I think a lot of activity has shifted to Electronic City.
Well, Ravi, if we were to compare the two locations, there's Whitefield and there's Sarjapur Road, which is where a lot of the IT, the techies, as we call them in Bangalore, the techies prefer to live. And now there's Electronic City and Marthahalli that's come up. Obviously, Electronic City doesn't have the social infrastructure that the other two neighborhoods have. But in terms of growth, for an investment, between these two options, which one do you see growing better over the last 5 years?
Given this decongestion on the infrastructure due to Electronic City, I think the belt between the Silk Board and the Electronic City, belt will see some traction going forward. I think there is some amount of appreciation that will happen with incoming demand. Prices range between 3,800 to 6,000 rupees a square foot. Sarjapur Road, bearing a few, B grade or a little more remote locations, you don't find these pricings over there, less than 4,000 rupees a square feet. So I think being the base price being low, there is some amount of bounce we may see.
So if I'm looking to make an investment in Bangalore right now, would it make more sense for me to go to Sarjapur Road, buy a 2-bedroom or a smaller unit from a reputed developer, or should I be looking at, say, a Marthahalli or an Electronic City because the base price is low and the room for growth and the headroom is much higher there?
From an investment perspective, I think the low base price, I would probably, go for investment. I think there's a good bounce of 1,000-1,200 rupees a square foot I could witness next 12 to 18 months. Yeah.
All right, developers and consumers are looking at Electronic City and Marthahalli very seriously, so we've looked at it as well. Here are some options put together by our experts of projects in those locations right now that you can consider if you're looking for an investment. Take a look. If you're looking for a home in the neighborhoods of Electronic City or Marthahalli, here are some interesting options. Heritage from Radiant Structures, Cupertino from the Concord Group, Uniworld Resorts from Unitech, Casablanca from Isha Infra Projects, Dynasty from the Saroj Group, and Shilpita Splendor Annex from Maitri Developers. Well, we have a question from Tushar who's written in. He wants to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Bangalore with a budget of 40 lakh rupees. Now, he tells us he's narrowed down his choice to the Richmond Pride Phase 2 in Jigani. Now, this is fairly close to Bomasandra, so there's a lot of industrial activity going on there. He wants to know if it's a good option. He also tells us if he negotiates hard enough, he finds he might also be able to afford a 3-bedroom apartment in that complex. Jayashree, he wants to know what sort of rental returns he can expect from this investment.
He should be able to get about 12 to 20,000 rupees. That is the range in that area. 3 BHK on Hosur Road is roughly what he should be able to get. So really there's nothing wrong with that investment, I would say, going by what. But there are lots of developers in that region. You have Vakil Housing, you have Triaxis, Colonnades, there's Sipari Properties. So you have lots of options there. So if he does want to look around, he has got lots of options, but this is not a bad investment.
It's not a bad investment. Ravi, that's also fairly close to Bomasandra, which has all of that, industrial activity.
Yes.
So does that make sense then to be in that neighborhood? Do you expect the neighborhood to move up quite sharply over the next 5 years or so?
No, I would rather he, comes out of Bomasandra if it's pure investment and come towards the Hosur Road or the, Silk Boat to the Electronic City stretch. Clearly, the rates are a little higher. So I don't know whether he'll be fine with a 40 lakh budget for a 3 BHK. I think a 2 BHK is more likely what he will get.
All right, so it's a good buy. And of course, if you want any more advice, feel free to write to us. Our email ID is on the screen. We're going to take one more question in this segment. Pankaj is written in. He wants to buy a ready-to-move-in 2-bedroom apartment in Pune with a budget of 65 lakh rupees. He's narrowed down his choices between Baner, Balewadi, Shastri Nagar, Yerwada and Kalyani Nagar. Those are quite a few choices. Pick the best one. Jayashree, among all of those, given the budget he has, what would you recommend he looks at?
He will not get anything in Kalyani Nagar or Shastri Nagar. In that budget, you can't get it. In the other areas, I think in Baner, I think he should be able to get about 52 to 56 lakh. He should be able to get about an 800 to 900 square feet apartment and can get a rental return of about 10,000 to about 14,000 or 15,000 per month. If he looks at Balewadi, he should be able to get about a 700, 800 to 1,000 square feet apartment, and his rental returns will be 9,000 to 15,000, going by what's happening on this website. If I look at Yerwada, he's getting about 850 to 1,000 square feet apartment, and he can get look for a higher rental return of about 16,000 to about 20,000 rupees. But the other two options don't exist for him.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Both Jayashree and Ravi are with us, helping us make smart decisions when it comes to buying property. Well, Sharath has written in. He wants to buy a 3-bedroom apartment in Navi Mumbai with a budget of 1.5 crore rupees. Now, he tells us he wants one of those gated communities with the swimming pool, the clubhouse. He also wants it to be ready to occupy in the next 1 year. He's narrowed down his choices to Nerul and Kopakhirane, and he wants to know which of the two are better options. Jayashree, what would you recommend for him?
He should be able to get about a 1,250 to 1,400 square feet apartment in Nerul, a 3 BHK. Ready to move in and in possession by June or November 2014. So sometime this year the possession will come. The rental return in that area is 22,000 to 34,000 for this kind of apartment. If he goes down to, I think, Kopakhirane, he can get an apartment ready to move in from the secondary market, and that should be about 1,300 to about 1,800 square feet as I see it on the site. And there your rental return is about 23,000 to about 40,000 rupees per month. If you go down to Vashi, about 1,400 to about 1,700 square feet apartment is available, and you should be getting a rental return of about 29,000 to 43,000 per month. These are the options, and these are ready to move in. Vashi and Kopakhirane, the options I've given are from the secondary market. Nerul, I think, is primary properties.
All right, so we hope that helps us. Quickly take another question on Mumbai. Sachin has written in. He wants to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs of Mumbai with a budget of 50 to 60 lakh rupees. Please give him some options. That rules out a lot of the suburbs in Mumbai. He's looking for 2 bedrooms. He's going to have to go fairly far off, isn't he?
Yeah, he would. Probably the Few belts that come to my mind are the Vasai-Virar belt. Probably in that location, he would get 2 BHK in his budget. Mira Road onwards up north, he'll have to search hard till he reaches Virar. But I guess, yeah, those are the locations. In
Thane,
the eastern,
Navi Mumbai, all out of the question.
yeah, Thane is now beyond reach. You know, at 5,000-6,000 rupees square feet, I doubt he would be able to get something there. Thane has moved on to 7,500 to 8,500 rupees square feet, unless he really goes for under construction, really pre-launch projects. Whether he has the wherewithal to wait for 2-3 years, you know, is a tough question. But I think Thane would be out of his budget. One may consider the affordable belts, but then it becomes a little remote towards the, you know, Ambernath and Badlapur, where he could, you know, increase his square footage and buy. These will give good returns in the medium term. As I see, the base price is much low, between 3,000 to 3,500 rupees square feet, going up to 5 to 5,500. The bounce of about 1,000 to 2,000 rupees in the next 3 to 4 years is probably visible in these affordable segments.
I have time for one last question. Jaideep has written in from Kolkata. He wants to buy a 2 or a 3-bedroom apartment on EM bypass in Kolkata with a budget of 50 lakh rupees. Please give me some options. 50 lakh rupees in Kolkata is a lot more than it is in Mumbai. What can he afford?
Yeah, I think the EM bypass location which he has chosen is clearly a prominent corridor for future growth. It's a good investment, but in that main EM bypass, you do not get these budgets for A-grade developments. The rates prevailing over there are about 10,000 rupees a square foot. So my recommendation, if this budget cannot go up, is for him to go a little deeper inside, maybe just off the EM bypass, where you have ground plus 4 kind of structures coming up. He can easily get within this budget, and yet it's not very far. It's just about within half or 1 kilometer away.
A quick recap. Remember, we talked about Hyderabad, we talked about Gachibowli and Madhapur. That's excellent to look at this point as an investor. In Bangalore, we talked about Electronic City and Marathahalli. And of course, in Mumbai, we've talked about the suburbs of Navi Mumbai. That's a wrap on the show. Thank you, Ravi. And thank you so much, Jayashree, for coming in and helping us find investment options in the realty market. Thanks so much for watching. Email ID is on your screen. You can reach me on Twitter. Get in touch.